That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight we are talking about, I almost called it The Mandalorian again, the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. All right, Dragon, so I was not here last week. Jacob Weil graciously took over my spot, so here I am. We figured it'd be just me this week to cover mostly Episode 2, but also just... Dragon, I'm here to say that Boba Fett is a very interesting show because I feel like it is not landing with people the way that I was expecting it to. Whereas with me, it's like I've always enjoyed Mando. I've always, I always thought that it was a solid show. Definitely a very, very fun, kind of intriguing look into the Star Wars universe, almost like a Star Wars sandbox, if you will, with how many characters they were introducing. Very fun kind of concept and experiment for a show. Book of Boba Fett, though, I mean, Dragon, like right from the get-go, this thing had me. I've kind of infamously never been the biggest Boba Fett fan, but what I have been a big fan of is the Tatooine sort of like mafia underground and the huts and everything like that. The Hutt Palace is maybe my favorite location in all of Star Wars. So, Dragon, I was hyped on this based on that alone, in spite of, I like Boba Fett as much as the next guy, but I just never really put him up on a pedestal. It's like an end-all, be-all, like, prime badass sort of character. And once we get into Episode 1, Dragon, they essentially, what they do for Boba Fett, in my opinion, in Episode 1, is they go a long way to humanize him. I mean, we do see him, pull out some very miraculous feats, most noticeably the awesome Sarlacc escape, which was great to see on film for the first time. But really, this episode kind of put Boba in a desperate kind of situation, both in the flashback and in the present day stuff. Because in the present day stuff, it really feels like what they're going for is the fact that, like, even though he might have this plan in his head of how he wants to rule, he's maybe a little bit in over his head, and he maybe that image of like the perfect bounty hunter is going to have to get, chipped down a peg. So I was really digging that, and then Episode 2 came along, and Dragon, oh my god, this might be my favorite Disney Star Wars thing ever. I'm really digging the deep dive into the culture of Tatooine so much. I think Episode 2 is absolutely exquisite in that regard. Like the flashback stuff in Episode 2, in my opinion, is almost like, like top tier, like, storytelling with very little dialogue. It's almost all visual. Dragon, I really think that imagery of Boba and the God, I'm sorry, I want to call them Sand people, the Tuscans,
Raiders.
Tuscans, yeah, at the fire at the end. I mean, Dragon, that is some imagery, like that is up there with like the best imagery in The Last Jedi. Like, I know people have mixed feelings about that movie, but that movie looks good. And so, yeah, I'm all for it. I do think that maybe the flashback structure is getting a little bit too, like, it's dragging the pacing out just a little bit. But by that extent, Dragon, I do want to point out that by having this flashback structure, by having these two kind of running narratives, it does feel very novel-like. Like very much in the sense of like if you were reading a novel about Boba Fett, this might be how they would frame it. One chapter being from the past, one chapter being present day stuff. So I'm really appreciating that approach, Dragon, and I'm just at this point I'm just marinating in it. I can't wait to see what the show does next. I think that the first couple episodes just really knocked it out of the park for me personally. But Dragon, I mean, not a lot of people on the internet kind of share my opinion. So it's interesting. Are you one of the people on the internet that shares my opinion, Dragon?
I've been really liking it, man. I was sold from the outset, but I keep like I think what's here getting into this episode. I think this episode kind of proved to me what I suspected with the first episode, what at least what I believe in my heart is what kind of turned people off. I think it's proof that in this case they really should have aired the first two episodes together because this really does give you a complete picture of this of kind of the Sand People story they're going for.
Definitely,
And I think
definitely.
this would have helped sell a lot more people who were just a little like, I mean, for me, there's only been one misstep, which I remember when we talked about the first episode, when me and Jacob and Rohit talked about the first episode, we, we kind of speculated as to, yeah, maybe Boba Fett's not a close combat guy. Then I kind of afterwards, after I rewatched the episode and I watched this episode, I was like, oh, wait a minute. After he kicked the crap out of those stormtroopers, what am I thinking? Of course he's a close combat guy. So, but the only issue I've had with the show so far is, yeah, he did get taken out. He did get taken out pretty easily by those shields in that first episode. That's like the one knock I really have against the series. That's a very small
So,
knock, you
I
know?
mean, as far as I can tell, and I don't want to just throw this as like a derogatory kind of blanket statement for the whole fan base, but a lot of people seem to be upset at this show just because they're humanizing Fett, particularly.
Well,
Like,
that's what he needs, that though, you know?
yeah, I know, but I mean, people are just being like, Boba Fett would never do that. Boba Fett's too much of a badass. And I'm like, folks, we've literally seen him for like 5 minutes of screen time across all of Star Wars. We don't really know what his MO is.
Plus, I mean, folks, to again, the show, we'll find out going forward how deep we're going to go. This, even as deep as they could probably get, I'd imagine there's still going to be like, the young Boba Fett stuff we never saw. So I'm sure there were lots of awesome misadventures. We're kind of looking at old man Logan version of Boba Fett here. Is the Boba
Totally.
Fett?
That's absolutely what it feels like. Yeah.
Actually, let me redact that statement a little bit because I can't call him old man Boba Fett. He's only been like, it's been, let's see, a little over 6 years. So it's about 8 years though. It's been about 8 years. So the point being though, it's I don't mind applying layers to Boba Fett, especially since we're getting to know him under the helmet, which seems to be just visually very much kind of what the story is going for here. Let's get to know why we
Yeah,
care
I'm
about
loving how
Boba
much
Fett.
of Tamora Morrison he just gets to show his face in this show. And I mean, the dude has Shakespearean expressions, man. He is a really good face actor.
Well, absolutely, and again, that's kind of the big dividing line between this and Mandalorian, where the whole helmet thing is a whole
Right,
picture of the
totally,
culture.
totally.
Where in this case, it's again like this is a guy he's kind of on the fringes, where again he dons Mandalorian armor, but he's kind of not technically a Mandalorian. He's honoring his father, who really liked the Mandalorian culture. So my point being, anyway, so just this episode in itself, again, I think this would have helped a lot of people just in kind of getting more of a view of what the show's going for with the flashback structure and with, okay, so what the whole story is for me, honestly, what I'm getting with all the layers and everything is that
Yeah.
this whole show is the humbling journey of Boba Fett. Like, how did we get the awesome reintroduction of Boba Fett and Mandalorian and kind of going forward with this character making a change? Where, okay, well, we show the humblement through the Sand People, which is what episode 1 was dedicated to, where we basically our betters like Mark Bernard have kind of equated it down to this, and it's an absolutely brilliant comparison. It's Lawrence of Arabia with Boba Fett. It's Lawrence of Arabia set on Tatooine. Where
Totally.
he goes through the journey. He's been humbled and is going through a transformation right now, and this episode, particularly for me, is more so Dances with Sand People or Dances with Tuscans.
Yeah, you brought the Dances of Wolves up. I mean, I'm not going to deny it.
I'm not saying it in a bad way. I like that, though. I like that it's Dances with Sand People.
Well, let's just say it's definitely way more compelling than something like Avatar doing that same plot line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like they're actually they're actually taking something something really original that we haven't seen yet. Like, whereas with Avatar, it was basically like, hey, Fern Gully, Dances with Wolves, go.
Right. So again, I like that we closed the loop on the Sand People story here, and we had some really cool fan service. And again, nothing against Dances with Tuscans, man. You can add layers. Okay, the Super Billy's in the comments right now.
Okay, Super Billy says, sorry. The Mandalorian features stormtroopers at their most ineffective and incompetent. They're almost as ridiculous as useless battle droids.
Is it the same with this show? Well, we haven't really. The only stormtrooper we've seen was a digested one in the Sarlacc, so we can't. I can't really. I'd imagine it would probably be the same because right now these are not stormtroopers that are whipped into shape by the Empire right now. Remember, they're warlords and everything run the stormtroopers at this juncture. So
right,
probably
right,
not.
yeah,
probably not. Okay, let's see. So I guess. Well, I guess perhaps the transitions. So let's talk before. Tell you what, T. Let's the way the episode breaks down. We kind of have our first half. It's kind of broken up into two halves. We have kind of our present half, and then we have our flashback half. Let's start with the present half.
yeah.
Okay, so Boba Fett, he was attacked, and again, there's the only scene that's unsold me a little bit. Like, man, why is he getting taken out by those Wakandan shield guys? Come on.
I mean, like I said, Dragon, it's, I can buy that he is out of practice as far as combat goes. It's like, we'll see how the flashbacks take it. It's like, it's very possible that he could he could become a straight up pacifist through the flashbacks,
I mean,
so
Tiki, I agreed with you until I realized, wait a minute, we had that great reintroduction where he's like kicking the crap out of stormtroopers, so I don't know if that's the case, but then again, it's shields, but just shields?
well,
really?
we have to, I don't know, we have to build him back up. Who knows?
All right, well, regardless. He's interrogating one of the guys that did it, so that May Na Wen's character, that Fennec Shand has brought back. One of the Order of the Night Winds assassins. So we have this great gag. Oh my god, I love this gag so much. I love the Rancor gag.
Yes.
Just the fact that, again,
in the back of my mind, Dragon, were you like, oh my god, are we going to see the corpse?
I mean, I was wondering, like, wait a minute, could they have... Here's the thing, like, she mentioned the menagerie. I'm like, well, yeah, the menagerie's gone. But
I thought either there was going to be a corpse or they just had literally bought a new Rancor from the Rancor store. And I'm glad that they didn't go that route, Dragon.
Because I was wondering, like, hey, wait a minute. The big observation I had, which, again, the whole Boba Fett in uncharted territory, which is the big draw of the show, is like, hey... Boba Fett really doesn't have much of an armada or like an army or like a posse like Jabba had.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jabba's palace was chock full of people, and we got rid of all those people. So it's just him and two Gamorrean guards and a droid who's not really great at translating. That's all Boba Fett has right now.
And I love it. I love it as like kind of like the bad news bears of the Tatooine mafia.
Yeah, again, I kind of compare it to kind of like it's sort of, imagine if you mixed Breaking Bad season let's say season 2 with part 1 of season 5, where he has the reputation, but he's still kind of settling into it though.
Sure.
Anyway, so I like that Boba Fett's using the knowledge of the original trilogy to his advantage here. Like, hey, the Rancor's dead, but these guys don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so of course that leads to the confession that the mayor hired him. So we pop in on the mayor of Mos Espa, Mok Shaiz. I love it when Tamar Morrison says Mok Shaiz. Anyway, so Mok Shaiz, who I believe is voiced by Robert Rodriguez. I'm not sure. I think he is.
Yeah, just he's a Doc Ondor type creature, and I love these creatures in Star Wars, so that's cool to see.
Forget if they're called anchorheads or not. Like with these, they have like the translators built into them and everything. They kind of have like the weird gills that are kind of the mouth. Anyway,
Doc Ondor does not have a translator. He's old school like that.
Yes, exactly, Tiki. Yeah. So, anyway, point is Mok Shaiz. This was a really interesting scene to me, especially on the rewatch, knowing what happens in the episode like a second later. So what he does here, Tiki, is Mok Shaiz. He has a power move that he's enacting here where he warns, because you got to remember that the assassin, he's not lying when he said the mayor sent him, and the mayor's kind of dressing it up like, oh no, he's not denying that he did it. His little yuppie friend who said, oh, the mayor does not have a tribute for you. That guy, he's
okay. That guy, can I just say that guy is like, he is right up our alley as far as like the Force pleasantry side of things goes.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. Yes, he is. So I love how desperate he is. Like, oh, well, we have company, sir.
Right.
Anyway, so basically what we have going on here is a power move to warn him that, hey, you're just the bounty hunter here. And like, I love that he says like, I'm not a bounty hunter. That's not what I hear, because all everyone knows you for is being a bounty hunter. And basically what he's doing here in kind of a coded way is warning him that the Hutts are going to come back and want their territory here. Which I love how cocky Moksha is on the rewatch here, knowing that he's sending him. You should visit Garza's sanctuary. And essentially, what he's doing there is setting him up so he's going to be in direct contact with the Hutts, which he does not want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of his screw you to him of like, hey, welcome to Mos Espa.
Right.
So let's talk some Hutts, man.
Oh man, I mean, Dragon, I know you were geeking out about the Wookie.
Oh, I'm so
I know
excited!
you
It's
were.
him. I look back. Oh, he has the scar and everything.
I believe it. But Dragon, you know me. I love me some Hutts. I am fucking thrilled that there's still Hutts like looming around, like chomping at Jamba and Chamba's and Boba's feet. You know, like Dragon. I love it, and like. I don't know. Do you think these Hutts? Do you think one of them is Rotu?
No, well, neither of them are Rhoda. I believe you're
Rhoda. Okay,
neither of them are Rhoda the Hutt. No,
but I don't know. I like the fact that the Hutts still have a presence within Tatooine, even though it's been diminished, and they're kind of like clawing back into control. Like that to me is like the sort of like Game of Thrones fucking mafia shit that I was dying for in this show, Dragon, and we're getting it.
I mean, between this and hopefully what I really want to see, which I mean, we're going to find out this year. We have the Obi-Wan show coming this year, so I'm hoping what we're seeing is again the Hutts kind of at full power in the Obi-Wan show. Now we're seeing kind of the Hutts
right.
in the. I remember the really cool thing about seeing the Hutts come back. So the idea is the Hutts mainly reside on Nal Hutta, which is where they all come from, and they each are assigned like a territory in the galaxy. So they find out Jabba's dead, and they were delayed because all the lawlessness in the galaxy ever since the Empire went down. So they've been busy trying to kind of get all their other territories in line. They had Bib Fortuna on the throne. They found, hey, our guy's gone. Some new guys come along. Let's deal with this. So yeah, we have that going on here, and so these are Jabba's cousins, by the way. That's why we know it's not Rhoda.
Okay, yeah.
Jabba's cousins. It's really cool here.
I hope they build to the aforementioned one, Dragon. I would like to see him.
I would too, but I think there's like a technical Baby Yoda thing with him where I don't know if how the Hutts age, so the Hutts might still. I don't know. I'd like to think
he might still kind of be in baby mode.
I'm hoping maybe he'll be like a teenage Hutt, so we can kind of have a Michael Corleone thing going on, but I don't know.
He can be the Joffrey of this Star Wars Game of Thrones.
I mean, can you imagine if the next spinoff is Game of Thrones with Hutts?
Well, I mean, Dragon, this is pretty much like we might be getting that in this show, honestly.
I mean, you're right. It's really possible. I'm just saying, just given how much time we can. I'm saying between this and Obi-Wan, we can get some Game of Thrones Hutt stuff in there for sure. So, anyway,
I also want to just address the rumors, Dragon. I'm sure you've heard them. And honestly, I'd be pretty down for this if they can land him. Harrison coming back. Not Harrison from Dexter New Blood.
Why would you just say everyone? It's kind of weird. Only everyone. It's kind of the Charlie Brown thing. No one just says Charlie. It's always Harrison Ford, Charlie Brown. You know, you got to say both names.
I don't know.
Anyway,
me and Harrison Ford are on a first name basis. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, they would have to de-age him, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they go.
They de-aged Mark Hamill, so you know.
I mean, they did, but I'm also that's one thing. There's like a truckload of money to get Harrison Ford to come back, which they already spent on that. So I mean, I don't know. The only
reason I'd want to see it is just because Boba Fett was such a thorn in Solo's side, you know.
Believe me, I want to see it.
I don't need it.
I absolutely would love to see it, but it's just the token of like, do you want to pull the same hat trick on your spin-off show and just make that everyone's it's going to be a de-aged return?
I mean, you know what a fucking best of both worlds sort of scenario would be there is if Chewie showed up.
Yeah, it's not bad. So speaking of which, I want to talk about Black Chris Satan. So, the Black Wookie. Boy, oh boy. So basically in the Disney okayed Star Wars comics, basically once Disney got Star Wars, they said, okay, so the comics that we're putting out now are actually going to, factor in some of the live action stuff. We're filling in the gaps between the movies. We're saying this is what happened. As in, they're basically saying these are canon. The other stuff we're just, that's kind of the old regime. So And basically, every time they've adapted something from the old stuff that everyone liked, it's been a big win for people. So this, for me, was a big win from the recent stuff. So the Black
Uh-huh.
Wookie character was in. See, I stayed with the Star Wars comics only for the Darth Vader comic in its beginnings, and the Star Wars comic in its beginnings. In the Star Wars comic, and from what I understand, this Wookiee comes back a lot in the Darth Vader comic, and I look in the Dr. Alpha stuff. My point being, so the idea, it was just this awesome thing where Boba Fett had been paired with another bounty hunter, which was this ex-gladiator Wookiee, who had been through the ringer, been through heck, and it kind of fulfilled the whole anti-Han Solo, like, antagonist sort of thing, where Han Solo has his Wookiee, Boba Fett has his, and he's even cooler looking. Look at him; he's got the scar, and he's a gladiator. And here's the thing: so Boba Fett recognizes this guy, and I was on the edge of my seat. Dear God, let him recognize him, dear God! And when he dropped the reference to the gladiator pit from the Transodoshans, that basically is something that's probably happened in one of the books, or like something you kind of saw. Like he was in a gladiator pit with Chewbacca once, I think. So that's kind of a little nod there. Anyway. So that's really cool, and what I want to see happen, honestly, is I'm hoping that our Sand People flashbacks are at least for the moment over, and then we're going to see the Sand People in the present day, like a payoff to that down the line.
Okay.
But what I want to see, if we keep the flashback thing going, what I'd like to see is I want to see a flashback to him and Black Krrsantan.
Right. Basically, just like, don't, like, because I do kind of agree with you that as much as I think all the flashback stuff with the Tuscans is exquisite, absolutely exquisite storytelling.
Yeah, we can't do 7 episodes of that. We can't do 7 episodes.
I agree. But I do think they could do 7 episodes if they just, like spin off into new stuff that he's doing, I absolutely think that we need to see him and Finnick meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Fennec.
Well,
Whatever.
That one, no, you're right. Here's the thing, though. He met Fennec. Well, no, we haven't seen this, but the implication's always been he met Fennec as a kid. So we'll see.
But I still think we need to show like how they became so tight in this timeline.
No, you're right about that. We do. It would. I'm saying it's a good idea, Teague. I just don't know if we're gonna.
Like that's ultimately where I assumed that the flashbacks were going.
Sure. So, but that's that. Regardless of Teague, it's a good idea that we should see different chapters in different points in Boba Fett's life in flashback.
I mean, after all, it is the Book of Boba Fett, So yeah, jumping around in that timeline, I don't know. Something tells me that they're not going to be that ambitious. Something tells me that they've just got a full season storyline with the Tuscans, which, I mean, I'm down for if the storytelling is as good as it was in the past couple episodes, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to drop the Tuscans as soon as you want.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you can only have one of just like old school Boba Fett, that would be the Black Krrsantan episode. That'd be like the big fan service. So let's just see him in the old armor again, like when he's not eaten by a Sarlacc, doing a misadventure. Because I don't want the whole season to be that, obviously, but if you had like at least one glimpse at that, and by this, because right now we're in kind of like the pre-Mando flashbacks with like we're seeing the redemption after he's right out of Sarlacc pit. So I like seeing that and seeing that growth on that character. So it's interesting to say the least. And again, Fennec would be the other place to go with that. So it's possible we could mine a lot from that. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see.
But yeah, I mean, I can't geek out enough about how they are pulling off this Tuscan stuff, man. Like, it very much reminds me of how Mando would do stuff like the Jawa episode. That Jawa episode is still one of my favorites from Mando, even after 2 seasons. And this is just more of that. It's just like it is fleshing out these side creatures that, I mean, I'm just gonna pull a Pocahontas quote. Dragon, before Book of Boba Fett, the Tuscans were more or less just savages.
They were,
and we're really, really getting to marinate in their culture, and I'm loving how methodical and slow paced it is. It's a lot of people are complaining about the slow pace, but I don't think it'd be as effective without the slow pace.
And again, it's not like I don't think we're really being bored by just spending time with these guys, because he is reflecting on the.
Because I mean, like I said, it's like every minute we're spending with them, I am just marinating in their culture. I mean, maybe I'm just kind of like a history buff like that, even when it comes to fictitious histories. But I don't know. I was just endlessly fascinated by everything these guys had going on for me.
But I mean, I do like the whole Native American parallels to which you never thought of when you're watching Star Wars. You never thought of it they could go in that
Uh-huh.
direction, which we're doing here very flawlessly. And again, I don't use it as as an insulting comparison, but again, Dances with Tuscans is a great idea. It's just like
I mean,
yes,
like I
that's
said, Dragon, they do it. They pull out off the idea. It's a way more subversive, way more original take on that thing than something like Avatar or Ferngully was, as
all
far
right.
as the Dances with Wolves thing goes.
So just the transition into that flashback here. So with the Hutts, bloodshed is bad for business, but like Sleep Lightly, Bounty Hunter, and they basically they can't kill the Hutts because they need permission to kill Hutts. It's like a big thing, kind of the intergalactic syndicate that's going on there. Which again would be interesting in our crime drama to see how that folds, how like a daimyo has to deal with that sort
Yeah.
of thing. So I'm sure we're teeing that up for later. I'm sure there's going to be a point where he's going to have to kill some Hutts, and there's going to be big ramifications.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, but again, the theme of the episode, and this transitions us, I like how we tied our themes together between the present day and the flashback. No one's given the episode enough credit for this, I think.
No, I mean, and that is one of the flaws of episode 1, I thought, was that the themes weren't tied together as much. And yeah, episode 2, they really changed that. I like I said, I think it was just, they really dovetailed into each other quite nicely there.
And yeah, this is the thing where it's basically Boba Fett kind of dealing in business till we see him kind of like putting the Tuscans in a position where they can be kind of like seen as kind of business associates versus savages, which again, so it's kind of, we're seeing the roots of Boba Fett actually can be cut out for this. You're rooting for Boba Fett to be successful as a crime boss, and we're seeing the seeds of that like in his DNA as he's been
and you're also seeing the seeds of his leadership style, which is not overbearing and leading with an iron fist. It's it's kind of a community based leadership.
Yeah, it's a good idea to make Boba Fett a learning character, which is how he's become so dangerous and reputed in in the galaxy. Versus like your whole culture, it's like he had the visage going for him, like, oh, he must be a Mandalorian. Those guys are the fiercest fighters. Well, no, this is a guy who had that kind of going for him. It was like Batman with the costume, where again, there's like a bit of a fear element there, and then it's your skills that are going to take you the rest of the way.
Right.
Okay, so the rest of the episode of the Tusken Raiders flashback story, which again, assumedly completed, I'm going to tell you this, D. I think if we're going to do any more of it, I think there's going to be at least one. There could possibly be one more flashback episode. I think if they do more than one more, it's going to be too much.
I mean, I think that's fair because after you do one more after 3, you're kind of veering into like half the season being the Tuscan stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
I can imagine like, okay, so he's leaving the Tuscans, and that's probably as far as you can go with that story. And then if we see him again, it'll be in the present day. Okay, so let's see. So the Pike Syndicate. So these are the bad guys from Solo. That during the Kessel and the people we stole the spice
Yes, I did
from.
notice the Solo connection. Yeah.
And again, I like that we're connected a little bit of Solo with Boba Fett.
I knew you'd be excited about that.
Obviously, that's the whole Han Solo Boba Fett rivalry. I like that we connected it through the shows, and we did a better version of Solo here with the train thing, which was cool. So essentially, the Pike Syndicate have like a land speeder train thing. They're basically making their way through. They think, okay, we'll shoot away the savages.
I'm still not a fan of trains in Star Wars, but whatever.
Well, they made it like a giant land speeder in this case.
Yeah,
it wasn't like on a mountain. I think that's what makes it better, Teague. It's not just like on a mountain.
It is better than the Solo train. I will agree with you there.
It makes sense. They're going to transport a lot of cargo, and they might as well make it a land speeder in the desert. Anyway, so.
But yeah, I like this idea that it's like, we are essentially seeing we're seeing the Tuscans, like the train is essentially seeing the Tuscans from the point of view that we've always seen them,
Yeah.
Where it's like they're just kind of like pests.
And it was it was kind of like what we did in Mando Season 2, one of the best episodes where we had, again, there's so many good episodes, it's kind of hard to say the best episode. One of the best episodes was the Bill Burr episode. We had, we had him go undercover. We saw things from the stormtroopers' perspective, and here we're seeing things from the Sand People's perspective. Like, yeah, you're seen as savages, and that kind of hurts after a while. And they're just going to shoot at you because they think you're like, you're the guy like hitting Luke with the gaffy stick. No one likes you. So in this case, Boba Fett, he's going to take charge of the people who have taken him in and kind of shown him some civility and kind of humbled him. So he goes to I don't know if you've heard about this. He goes to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
No, I did not hear that. That's exactly what he was doing.
Well, to be fair, he's getting speeder bikes instead of power converters. But it's the fact that the idea is now
but it is literally Tashi Station. I did not catch that detail.
Now, to be fair, your diehard Star Wars fans will argue tooth and nail. It's not Tashi Station, but again, it's been it's after the war. Assumedly, Tashi Station was like
Right,
so.
right.
Tashi Station was like there's a deleted scene in the original Star Wars where you actually saw Luke go to Tashi Station and that
Yes,
sort of
yes,
stuff. The
yes, yeah.
idea was that Tashi Station is an excuse
Those were
for
they
young.
introduced like his whole friend group, right?
Yeah, exactly. Biggs and
Yeah.
Biggs and the gang, and the idea was Tashi Station's like a youth hangout where probably like you sneak off, grab a fruit, you grab some drinks, and you hang out with your buddies in an arcade essentially. Like that's where they
Oh
keep the
god.
holo game. So the idea is when Luke
The
said,
Star
"I
Wars
want to go,"
equivalent to the Back to the Future Part 2 80s cafe.
exactly. So Luke, like when Luke's saying, "I want to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters," that was not less him whining. That was more him saying, "I want to sneak out and hang out with my buddies."
Right.
Which is why Uncle Owen was kind of like coming down on him. Anyway, so the point being, so I think over the years, the days of the youth hangout, because war is kind of like overtaken everything, it's become a biker bar.
Makes sense, yeah.
Which is why like that's a little more unrecognizable than it was for anyone who remembers that like offshoot of like, man, Tashi Station was actually a location we saw somewhat. Anyway, so I believe some friends from that scene are actually Tika. This is like an awesome deep cut. The
Oh,
diehards
no.
were loving. The two bar patrons who were being hassled by the bikers, they were supposed to be Luke's buddies.
Oh man. Oh god, you're
Fixer,
right. They do fit the archetype. Oh
their
Jesus.
names are Fixer and Cammy.
Oh fuck. Oh, that is
That's
some good deep cuts. Yeah,
again,
yeah.
I just love that Filoni and company.
That's funny because I did notice specifically that that on the closed captions they were named, and I was like, well, that's weird. They're going out of their way to name those two random characters.
Oh yeah. So I love Filoni and John Favreau going for like the Wilro Huds of it all. They're going for the deep cuts, the ice cream Kyotonos.
Totally.
They love they're like Pixar. They're sanding the undersides of the drawer. Things.
And I feel like they've been very good about not just pulling out the member berries.
Yeah. It's not just the obvious stuff. Yeah. So let's see. So and again, this is the episode this is what reminded me. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, he kicked all the stormtroopers' butts. Look at what he's doing in here in the flashback. Even he's kicking the crap out of these people in close combat with the gaffy stick and the gun. They go, "That's a great fighter. How do their shields get him?" This is him right after the Sarlacc.
I did think that was kind of a silly theory on your part that that he was not a good close combat fighter.
I know, yes.
Obviously he is.
I know. I felt really stupid when I rewatched it. Like, yeah, what was I thinking? This is what makes the shield thing BS to me now. Like, yeah, there's no hope for it.
Right.
All right. To be fair, Rohit did convince me of like, wait a minute, maybe it's this way. I believe it. But no, silliness on my part as well. Atomic Beast in the comments.
Atomic Beast. Hey, he says, I read a theory that Boba killed Luke's uncle and aunt. Was that true?
In my heart of hearts, I like to think just based on the Kevin Rubio's Troopers fan film and like what we've seen in Robot Chicken all the time. I think it has to be the Stormtroopers. They have to be there for that to go wrong.
I agree. The Stormtroopers just seem too tied to that event for it to not be the Stormtroopers.
I still just want it to be the Kevin
Plus,
Rubio
it's like the one time that the Stormtroopers actually get to do something genuinely menacing.
Yeah. They're not shooting at anyone. They're just lighting it on fire.
Right.
I mean, even Boba Fett went up against one of these guys with the flamethrower. So again, anyway. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so again, we have the fight. So again, we have some. We have some fun here. Boba Fett is preparing the Sand People for hopping the train and basically.
Oh, I love this montage, the training montage. It's great. Yeah.
When he brings the speeder bikes back, it's a wonderful little gesture and gift of respect because he said he'd be back in the morning. He came back in the morning. What's the first thing the Sand People do?
They pillage the bikes for parts.
It's like, no. Tomorrow Morrison just cracks me up when he's interacting with the Sand People sometimes when he's just, it's like, I am holding it the same way.
Right.
It's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, he is surprisingly good with comedy in this show, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so he trains the Sand People. Basically had to pull this operation, and we have a far better train sequence than Solo. My favorite part of this train sequence, by the way, I don't know if you
Is
felt the
that the
same way.
whole cast didn't get killed off in one fell swoop?
Well, true, but not my favorite part. I was thinking the conductor droid, the little conductor droid was
Oh, I
adorable.
love the conductor droid. Yeah, for sure, for
Was it?
sure.
Looked very. I know I think some of them had to have been CG, but it looked really cool and kind of practical. I loved it. Anyway, so at the end of the day, Boba Fett strikes a deal with the Pike Syndicate, and these guys are nothing to sneeze at. No spice pun intended. These guys, the Pike Syndicate. They basically shows his boss aptitude here by negotiating. Well, now you have to pay a toll by just shooting at my guys randomly. So you pay us a toll, and we're going to let you through and ensure protection, all that sort of stuff. And it gets the Tuscans water, which is like nirvana to them because right now apparently it wasn't like a rock filled with water; it's a rock full of milk. So they have legit water. And apparently we learned the mythos of Tatooine. Which Tatooine used to be an ocean kind of used to be an ocean kind of very filled planet. So the Sand People remember that. They've been there for ages and generations, so they know like what it used to be. So water is like the greatest gift they could have bestowed, which earns them major points with Boba Fett. So Boba Fett, they repay him with a lovely little gift, which is a little lizard that crawls up their nose. It was horrifying.
Yeah, I do think that the lizard crawling up the nose was kind of like the one thing that was like, okay, that's not necessarily the most Star Wars thing in the world.
Well, to be fair, if you look at
Rogue
One,
I could buy it, and the visions that he had were very Star Warsy.
To be fair, Rogue One, we had like a giant guy being, kind of molested by an octopus tentacle, so we kind of, we kind of did that. So I mean, I don't think the little lizard.
I love all the flashback stuff, though. I thought the shot of
the vision quest,
young Boba seeing Jango that was fucking exquisite.
I like how we kind of transitioned from him in the old Boba Fett suit to then being trapped in the Sarlacc pit to the tree and everything. It was really heady, and the Jawas in the tree. It was a great vision quest, and I liked that the whole thing was like you provided us guidance, we're going to provide you with guidance, and essentially led him to on a vision quest to basically build his own gaffy stick, which was really cool. It was like,
I love that, and I mean, move over lightsabers, folks. I want these fucking sticks at Galaxy's Edge.
It's not exactly gonna be the same as like build a lightsaber because you have like to carve the wood and everything.
Can you imagine if they actually did like an all-day wood carving class or something though?
I mean, right
for
now,
like the diehards.
Well, from what I understand, Tiki, and I'm sure you know this far better than I. All the details in this. I don't know if we can have time to get into all of them, but right now I understand the lightsaber thing's not going well.
It is not.
The last I heard,
the controversy with the lightsaber thing is that they are no longer providing bags for the lightsabers.
Well, I know about that. There was nothing else before that. Is it just the bag thing right now?
I mean, I assume that there's probably some COVID stuff going on with it, that it's not running properly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what Disney gets for wanting to make Star Wars into the premium rich people experience,
Yeah.
I don't know how up to date you are on the luxury cruise liner of whatever the hell it is.
I don't know anything about that. All I know is I saw like a picture
of it's a mess. It's a mess.
All I know is I saw
we don't have time to get into that right now. We can probably do a full podcast on that once once the press starts actually going to it anyways.
All I know is with the lightsaber thing, I saw like in a plastic bag, and I heard like they're charging for the actual good bag, but the good.
And it's just like another example of like, Disney, why you doing this? It's like,
it ain't
whatever.
Good.
We don't have time to get into it.
Okay, so anyways,
because we've got to have money.
Okay, so the point being, he's constructed a gaffy stick, so it's a symbolic gesture, and I like that. Again, we're showing. He gets the gaffy stick and he gets the black robes, which essentially is, okay, so this is the wizened Boba Fett that we meet in Mando, who's now after this.
Right.
Again, assuming this is the end of our story, which I am, but we'll see next episode, I guess. Like, assumingly he's ready for his journey to find his armor, and that's why he hallucinated his father. He's going to go for his armor next.
And, I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again, that ending shot with the fire is just freaking magnificent, just utterly gorgeous visuals.
Yep, the transition to enlightenment, the dances with Sand People, it's really nice. Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it.
Yes, it is. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so just a big shout out to Super Billy and to Top Beast in the comments here. Guys, don't forget that every week, usually on Wednesdays, like sometime, by Wednesday afternoon at the absolute latest, I will have a poll up on every episode on the community page. We're still kind of trying to figure out a system that's a little bit more fair to figure out the rankings for these episodes. But oh yeah, Super Billy, you should absolutely give this show a watch. I would highly recommend it.
I mean, it's the very least.
Like so far, after 2 episodes, I would call it my favorite piece of Disney Star Wars media. So
yeah, I mean, if you liked Mandalorian, I think you're really gonna like this. But
yeah. All right, so yeah, look, keep an eye out for those polls. Vote, vote, vote. We're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to rank the episodes, but I digress. Yeah, it's been a fun time. Let's see. Dragon, want to advertise anything we got coming up this week?
Let's see. So, we got some animated Batcave coming at you this week, which is going to be, for anyone who's interested, it's going to be on Twilight, the big Dark Side Superman, round 2 fight, as it were. The big.
Couldn't we have just waited until the Batman came out and then had the Twilight synergy, Dragon?
No. We got that. We got some. We're covering a really great show on Hulu called Dope Sick.
Yeah, Dope Sick. I want to highlight, folks. Definitely. Like Dragon. Nobody on the internet is talking about it. I've seen literally maybe 2 reviews on YouTube, and it's like we need to rectify that. We need to get the conversation going on Dope Sick. So I'm very enthusiastic about that.
Now, folks, just to let you know, in case anyone's curious, why we're not covering it immediately, we're going to wait till Peacemaker's done to talk about it. So that's why we're waiting on that, because they're going to release it 3 episodes, then 1 a week. So it's just going to be a little too crazy for us to cover on a week-to-week basis. So, yeah. That's essentially what's going on in the immediacy, folks. But we got cool stuff coming at you.
Okay, and with that, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mono, just Plus and Us. And yes, Super Billy, absolutely watch Dope Sick. All right, have a good night, everyone.